Hello and welcome to Yesterday's Coffee, the podcast where we chat about fitness, nutrition, and business all over coffee that may or may not have been brewed yesterday. Welcome back, Alexa.
This feels crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a
been
little bit of time off.
8 months? 9 months?
Our last one was November. 7 months.
7 months. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A few things have happened since then.
A lot of things have happened since then.
But we're not changing topics today. We're sticking with what we know. And so to bring everybody back into the fold, probably the most relevant topic is how to return to exercise after an extended time away. Whether you just haven't been exercising for a really long time prior to everything that's gone on this year, or the past few months have completely thrown off your routine and now you're trying to get back into it. That's what we want to address today so that you're doing it properly and safely and don't hurt yourself.
Yeah, please don't hurt yourself. This is an opportunity to maybe perfect your form and go back into things with a different mindset. This isn't a time to let your ego shine. So I think number one is kind of prepping yourself to get back into things. So I think a really important thing, and this is slightly different for everyone, and I think it's a bigger issue depending on what your job is, if you've been at home, working from home, and then probably what your age is flexibility. If we've been sitting for months and months and months on end, your hips are all seized up, your back's probably tight, your neck and shoulders are tight, and going directly back into your old routine is not going to feel great, and you could potentially really hurt yourself. So I think maybe spending, some time the first couple days before going back, or the couple weeks before going back, or at least trying to make an effort when you do start going back to the gym to spend a significant amount of time warming up and stretching out before you get started is going to be really important.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a huge piece, is slowly working your way back into each session. And then like every workout that you're actually getting into, kind of the components of it, if you're somebody that was regularly training really hard 5-6 days a week, then definitely starting with lower training frequency out of the gate.
You don't need to go back 5 or 6 days a week to start.
Right. And so it kind of walks it back to almost like a new trainee when you're in the gym. So if you had a long layoff, then you don't need to be using every tool that you've got. Your body's not going to need the same type of stimulus. It's not going to need all this variety, and you're going to be able to get a lot more out of very little compared to what you were used to doing prior to the layoff.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think, especially for people who have a higher training frequency, if you were doing like a body part split before, it might even be okay for you to go back and start with a couple body or like total body exercises or total body workouts, or maybe even just doing like an upper lower split as you're easing your way back in.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to do all those individual isolations right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it goes for like overall training volume. If you were someone that was regularly hitting like 3 or 4 exercises for a given body part in a session, you're probably not going to need more than 1 or 2 right now. Mm-hmm. And so a combination of very little stimulus needed to drive an adaptation right now it's a good thing, because it's a way for you to kind of reset your training. And sure, you probably lost some strength, you've probably lost some endurance, and that will come back relatively quickly. But you don't need to be doing a million different things at once to get as much out of it. And so like Alexa was saying, you can really benefit from transitioning to a split that's a little bit more. You can do full body. You can do, if you were doing a body part split, doing like a push pull or an upper lower. Really, and honestly, I'd prefer a push pull where you're integrating upper and lower, like full body movements through the entirety of the session, so that you have a little bit more synergy between body parts, because you haven't been using them.
You've got to get your body used to working together again.
Right.
All these, body parts and muscle groups working together. So, even just going back to the basics and focusing on your foundational movements is probably the smartest thing you could do.
Absolutely. And you need to have realistic expectations with what's going to happen when you're first back into the gym. Like if you were somebody that was deadlifting 500 pounds and you haven't picked up a bar in 5-6 months, that's not going to happen right now. And I have a very personal experience with layoff from the gym. After I had my PECTUS surgery done, it was an extended layoff of 3 months of pretty much bed rest. And I had a ton of atrophy because of numerous other things that went along with the surgery. And this was me coming out of high school, going into college. I was 3-ish months off from the gym. And I'll never forget my first workout back. Of course, it was chest day, because what else?
Of course it was.
Is the
right
first
after
day,
the chest surgery.
What is the first day back going to be? And so I'm in college with a couple buddies. We go to the gym, and I'll never forget just lifting the bar off my chest the first time, just empty bar, just shaking on the way up. And like I wasn't an incredibly strong guy prior to surgery. I could move 200 pounds for a couple reps, and that short of a layoff, coming back in, and I think I hit 135 twice that day.
I'm honestly impressed you did that.
Yeah,
like, honestly, that's impressive. I mean, coming back from a surgery or coming back from an injury, that kind of goes back to,
it obviously magnifies things.
Yeah. You really do need to prep your body a little bit before coming back in. And please don't try to come back into the gym your first workout and, like, hit a PR or max out. Or, please just don't try it. I know that there are probably some people who are like, yeah, I've had all this time to rest, all this time off, been doing, body weight workouts at home, and I'm, like, ready to go. Like, I feel like a lot of people out there...
I don't think that's many people, honestly.
Well, this is definitely a certain group of people.
Yeah.
Probably more of the group of people that you might work with than me. None of my clients are trying to go back into the gym and, like, set records, okay?
Yeah, right.
They are very good at easing their way and working slowly. But I think there may be some younger people or more advanced people who are ready to get back at things and try and match their old numbers. And, even if you're not thinking about a PR or maxing out, even trying to match your old numbers on a really simple exercise, you should probably not try to do that either.
I would recommend not even really looking at the weight that you're using.
No.
And what I mean by that is everything should be going on feel. You should be heavily focused on technique, obviously, but also the intensity of the tension in the muscle that you're trying to target, and forget about the load that's on the bar. There's two things that carry people in the wrong direction when it comes to training. When you've been training regularly, even just putting more and more weight on the bar and foregoing that feeling of tension in the proper area is a bad thing. And on the flip side of that is just specifically going after a certain amount of reps. Like if you were used to hitting X amount of weight for X amount of reps, and even if that weight is well within what you're capable of right now, if you're constantly striving towards that rep number in your mind, but you're completely throwing what you're actually feeling in your body out the window, that's just as bad. Because if your muscle isn't ready to take on that load for that extended period of time, you might have the strength, you might not have the muscular endurance anymore. And you get to a point in the set where everything has shifted from, maybe it's bench press, shifting from your pecs into your shoulder joint. And you're just going to keep pushing through because you knew, I could hit this for 10, I'm going to keep doing it. That's not serving you at all. No. And so being able to check your ego, really focus in almost meditatively on your exercises to make sure that you're hitting and focusing on the area that you're actually targeting is really what you want to do right now. The weight and the numbers will come back. Same thing on the endurance side. Like if you haven't been out running or rowing or whatever your favorite thing is to do, and this is your first bout out, you're not going to go for the same distance. You're not going to go for the same time. And your body will let you know that. Like there's no way around
Your
it.
body will tell you. Your body will try and cut you off. And again, this is not the time to like push through because you've been out of the gym for 3 months. This is the time to listen and to scale back and really reinforce that mind-muscle connection and use it as an opportunity. So if you go in to your set and again, don't pay attention to the weight, really don't even pay attention to the reps, just really focus on that mind-muscle connection, the squeeze that you feel, the tension you feel in the muscle. And then if you find certain areas, again, if you're really zoned in, you'll notice, okay, maybe this feels a little bit tight, or maybe I don't have great range of motion in this exercise. Yep. And that gives you the opportunity to end that workout maybe with some flexibility or mobility work so that you can really come back stronger the next workout.
Yeah, no, the quality of the movement is definitely the most important. And I forget what I was going to say in regards to that with mind to muscle connection, and I don't know, I lost it.
That's okay. The other thing I think that's really important is nutrition and making sure that as you're getting back into your normal fitness routine, you also are being mindful of what you've been eating, because I know quarantine has gone a lot of different ways for everybody, and it's okay if you've just been hanging in there and trying to survive and make it through. That's absolutely fine. This has been a really stressful time for everybody. And you can't discount, the impact that stress also has on your body and on your body going back into a normal fitness routine. But again, this goes back to prepping, kind of like flexibility or stretching before you really get in. You want to make sure that your body's going to have the tools and materials it needs to recover from getting back into your normal activity routine, because we know how important recovery is to building strength back up and making sure that you don't feel, like complete crap after you start getting back to the gym.
Right.
Because, your recovery periods will probably be increased during this time too. It's going to take you a little bit longer to recover from even a lower volume of training than it did before.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. Because it was in relation to recovery. So the other thing that I would really focus on right now immediately in your workouts themselves is keeping things explosive and going nowhere near the point of failure. So every single, you can almost think of it like this, like moving reps as quickly as you can. And as soon as your concentric rep speed, so when you're lifting the weight itself, starts to slow to the point where it's not really explosive, not to the point where we're grinding reps, we're not even anywhere near that, but just to the point where it starts to slow down, cut the set right there. And if you stay within that explosive rep range and go to the point of like speed failure, I guess I would call it, where you're still within control, but you're not going to push
these are
it.
Quick, good quality reps, by the way. Like we're moving this quickly, but with good form. Right.
Yeah. Where you can still completely control the negative, and just be able to be explosive on the positive portion of the rep. If you keep things in that range, you'll not only feel great and recover much faster, but you'll actually come out of the workout with more energy.
Yeah. This is what you recommended to me in the past, like coming back from being sick, as a way to, not be totally wiped out and exhausted, because we're not really trying to push ourselves to have to recover more than we already will.
Right.
It's just a way to feel energized after your workout. You feel good leaving the workout, but you still reinforced that movement pattern.
Yeah.
Which is the point.
Yeah. I mean, you're getting to the point where you're keeping your overall amount of, I don't even want to say exertion, to like 60 or 70%, because you're still able to go hard and explosive, and those explosive reps should be all out. Like that's what the explosiveness comes from, but you're not taking that anywhere near the point of failure, which is where the increased recovery needs come from. So because that's already fairly compromised right now, and you don't need to exceed much of that, you just need the stimulus there. You just need your body moving again and feeling good. Keeping it in that explosive range and cutting it after that will feel really good. And then after a couple weeks of that, obviously you can start pushing more and more, and that's the basics of progressive overload anyways, whether you're adding more reps in, taking it closer to your point of failure, not saying that you're just going to failure after 2 weeks, but you're progressively adding more reps in, or you're adding more weight back on with that same type of paradigm to go about it, because the recovery portion is going to be really crucial in the beginning. You should expect some pretty extreme soreness from very little stuff. If you're doing what I just described, then it won't be extreme soreness. You'll be sore, but you'll come back.
But
from
you'll
it
probably
pretty
laugh about how sore you feel
Yeah.
after doing like, you know, a set of explosive bodyweight squats or whatever it happens to
Well,
be.
like even, yeah, I mean, for sure. And I guarantee you the first time you put a barbell on your back and just do 3 sets of squats with no special amount of weight, like you're going to be sore for the next 3-4 days after that if you haven't touched it. And it'll come back quick. The next week, it might be 2 days of pretty extreme soreness. And then after a month of a regular routine, you'll be into a pretty good groove again. And that's typically what I see. The 3 to 4 weeks is kind of like your break-in phase. And then your body's like, yeah, we've done this before. This is what we need to do.
Well, and don't let it scare you either. I know a lot of people are itching to get back because they feel like they've lost all their progress. They've lost all their muscle. They lost, all their strength. And that stuff comes back really quickly. You already have those movement patterns ingrained in your brain. You already have the capacity to have a certain size muscle or a certain, amount of strength to your muscles that will come back really quickly.
Right. Yeah. Your body is ingrained with what it's done before. And so if you've built the muscle before, you've built the strength before, it will come back 10 times faster than the first time that you built it. And that's just a basic adaptation of your body. If you've got something that it doesn't need, it's going to get rid of it, but it remembers. So whether that was, especially with strength, cardio is a little bit different in that it's very fast to lose and very fast to gain.
Cardio will come back a lot more quickly.
Strength is definitely slower on the spectrum, but it will come back. I can't remember what because there's a pretty well-determined time frame that you start to lose adaptations. I believe it's after 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half.
I think it's 2 weeks.
You start to lose strength within and it's a very similar period that you're losing power, which is that explosive strength over time measurement. And then with cardio, I think it's around that time frame that you start to lose it as well, but it's very quick to bring it back. I'd have to reference that. I haven't looked at that in a while. But suffice it to say, it will come back. I used to be so worried about losing strength.
Or losing muscle mass.
People
are really worried about that.
I used to be so paranoid about that I would always have some element of my training. Like this was years and years and years ago where I was trying to do like super heavy doubles, triples, even singles, like weekly or every other week, just to like satisfy my mind that I could lift these weights. I promise you don't need to do that. You'll get way stronger if you're not pushing to that limit every single week, which is counterintuitive, but especially as you're getting back into it, forget about the weights, focus on the quality of the movement, move it quickly and under control in the positive portion. Focus a little bit more on the negatives so that you can feel that target muscle that's supposed to be working, and just give yourself some time. 3-4 weeks after the first month, you'll be good to go. But expect some soreness and definitely focus on your nutrition.
Just please take it slow. There was one more thing that I wanted to talk about because I honestly don't remember all the details because you have more physiology knowledge than me. But so for people who are worried about the muscle mass that they have lost, when you build muscle tissue, you're creating new muscle fibers. Is that true?
In some extent, yes. I can't remember the names. It's hypertrophy is the growth of the muscle. Hyper something plasia, maybe. I'd have to. Don't quote me on that. I'd have to look at the term.
I was just curious if you remembered it, because my understanding was that like as you're growing a muscle, you're increasing the amount of muscle fibers or something like that, and then as you the beginning phases of you losing muscle mass is those muscle fibers are just not as active, but they are still there. And it takes a pretty long time, if it's even possible, for that muscle to actually get smaller.
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm pretty sure that the majority of muscle growth is just hypertrophy, so the increased size.
Mm-hmm.
I think there is some piece of that is actual growth of new fibers. I'd have to reference my textbooks.
Yeah,
it's been
yeah.
a while.
I remember reading something about it a couple months ago, and I was just curious.
And that I would be very interested to relook that up because it's been a while since I've read through that.
So maybe we'll give you guys an update next week.
I'll have to crack open the textbooks back here. But yeah, I mean the real thing that you need to know is that it will come back when it's been built. And your body is very quick to replace that. You'll have, and again, that's going to also come down to the nutrition. You need to make sure that the calories are there to build that back up. Muscle doesn't just come back on its own. It needs the raw material. It needs the protein. It needs the calories. And it needs the stimulus. And in this case, the stimulus is going to be very little. You just need to spark the growth, give it the material it needs, let it recoup, and you'll be right back to where you were in probably 2 months' time. Like if you took 3 months off, it'll probably be 2 to 3 months, and you'll be right back.
And that's
there.
Honestly just general across the board.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what level of training you were at previously. Obviously, the more advanced you are, typically the quicker that some of those things can come back.
Yeah.
So
I think that's it. I hope that gives you guys a good intro into what you want to do as you ease back into this process. It's summer, so here we are. And stay safe, get back to regular routine, eat well, hydrate, get your vitamin D.
Please take all your vitamins.
Yes, take your
stay
vitamins.
Healthy.
And we will talk to you guys again next week. We're back.
We're back. I'm happy to be here.
This is how we end it, right? Cheers.
We'll see you guys next week.
See you guys next week.
Okay, bye.